You think Greenland is ice, you forgot power hides in silence, and empires don't ask permission. They erase borders first. If this feels uncomfortable, stay. Chapter 1. Map Surgery. You were taught to see maps as drawings, borders, names, colors. That education trained you to misunderstand power. Greenland is not ice. It is altitude, access, orbit, and choke points disguised as wilderness. When you look at it as land, you think in tourism and climate. When empires look at it, they think in missile arcs, satellite shadows, submarine corridors, and mineral veins still asleep under stone. You were raised to believe territory belongs to people. Power knows territory belongs to position. The United States does not need Greenland the way a consumer needs a product. It needs it the way a predator needs higher ground. Not to occupy, to control the angles others cannot see. Geography is not scenery. It is leverage frozen into matter. Every empire that survived learned the same lesson. The future is not built where people live. It is secured where others cannot compete. Greenland is silent advantage. No noise, no vote, no rebellion, just location. You were told politics is about negotiation. Negotiation is what happens after position is already owned. This chapter is not about Greenland. It is about how you misread reality. You assume power announces itself. You assume conquest looks like invasion. You assume influence needs permission. It doesn't. Power prefers emptiness, because emptiness cannot resist. When America looks north, it is not looking for land. It is looking for time. Time to see threats before others can. Time to move before others realize movement has happened. And you were trained to argue about morality while the board was already arranged. This chapter removes the idea that geopolitics is conversation. It replaces it with geometry. Once you understand that, you stop asking why nations act. You start asking from where. That is the first cut. The map is not a picture. It is a weapon diagram. And you have been standing inside it without knowing. Chapter 2. The Illusion of Consent. You believe power needs permission. That belief keeps you harmless. Empires do not ask. They design conditions so agreement becomes the only remaining option. Greenland is not being courted. It is being positioned, slowly, quietly, with language that sounds cooperative and logistics that are not. The mechanism is simple, dependency disguised as partnership. When infrastructure arrives, it is called development. When surveillance arrives, it is called security. When presence becomes permanent, it is called stability. You were trained to trust these words. Power uses them to anesthetize resistance. This is not about conquest. Conquest is loud and expensive. This is about psychological ownership, the moment when a place begins to think of itself as protected rather than occupied. The same mechanism operates in your life. You accept systems that benefit from your compliance because they call it opportunity. You surrender autonomy because it is wrapped in convenience. Greenland's value is not just in what it contains, but in what it prevents others from touching. Russia sees Arctic routes. China sees minerals. Europe sees neutrality. The United States sees first access and final veto. The difference is not intention, it is timing. Power does not race, it arrives early and waits. You were taught that sovereignty is a right. In reality, sovereignty is a performance allowed by stronger structures until it becomes inconvenient. The real mechanism is not military, it is narrative control. Whoever defines protection defines ownership. Once a territory believes it is safer with you than without you, the war is already over. No flags need to change, no blood needs to be spilled. The mind has already surrendered. This is why Greenland matters, not because of ice, but because of obedience created before resistance is possible. And the same process is working on you. You are not conquered when someone defeats you. You are conquered when you stop imagining alternatives. That is the mechanism. Silent, legal, permanent. Chapter 3. The Hierarchy of Use. You think people choose sides. In reality, they are assigned roles. Every system sorts humans the same way predators sort terrain. Some are tools, some are shields, some are storytellers, a few are owners. The rest mistake visibility for power. In Greenland's story, the archetypes are already written. There are the protectors, officials who believe proximity to power equals relevance. They trade sovereignty for access and call it diplomacy. There are the merchants, corporations that measure land only in extraction curves and shipping routes. They do not care who governs, they only care who signs. There are the performers, politicians, activists, analysts. They speak loudly while being structurally irrelevant. They believe noise creates leverage. It does not. Then there are the architects, unseen planners who never appear in headlines. They move infrastructure, agreements, narratives, and timing. They do not debate, they design. Most people watching this identify with the performers. They think awareness equals agency. It does not. Awareness without leverage is entertainment. The architects understand something you were never taught. Control does not require loyalty. It requires dependency. Once a region depends on your logistics, your protection, your trade routes, and your currency systems, resistance becomes symbolic. This is why Greenland is not treated as a nation in strategy rooms. It is treated as a position. And this is why you are not treated as a citizen inside modern systems. You are treated as a function. You produce, you consume, you stabilize numbers. Your identity is tolerated as long as it does not interfere with flow. The most dangerous illusion you hold is that morality determines outcomes. It does not. Utility does. Power respects only what cannot be replaced. Greenland is becoming irreplaceable. You are being trained to remain replaceable. That is the pattern. That is the hierarchy. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Chapter 4. The map always closes. You were taught that history is unpredictable, that nations rise and fall by accident, that power reacts. It doesn't. Power rehearses. Every empire that survived understood one rule. Geography decides ideology, not the other way around. Whoever controls the cold corridors of the north controls the future of movement, trade, surveillance, and denial. Greenland is not valuable because of what it has today. It is valuable because of what will pass through it tomorrow. Arctic routes are opening. Satellites need ground anchors. Submarine cables need guardians. Missile trajectories need blind spots. Energy reserves need legal excuses. The map is closing inward, and Greenland sits at the hinge. History proves this pattern relentlessly. Britain built an empire on ports. America built one on bases. Rome built one on roads. Control always follows infrastructure, never speeches. You live inside a world where borders look solid on screens but are negotiated quietly in contracts. Greenland's status is not debated publicly because outcomes are already priced privately. Every time you see a treaty framed as cooperation, it is a purchase disguised as courtesy. Every time you hear strategic partnership, it means someone surrendered options. You believe nations fight wars for ideology. They don't. They fight for positioning before the war becomes necessary. And here's the part that should unsettle you. The same logic that governs Greenland governs you. Your data routes, your financial dependencies, your social platforms, your economic mobility. You are already positioned inside systems you did not choose. You are already governed by decisions made before you noticed. The illusion of freedom exists only where exit routes remain open. Greenland is losing its exits. So are most people. The difference is Greenland will become powerful because of it. Most people will become invisible. This is not about conquest. It is about pre-ownership. And once pre-ownership is established, resistance becomes theater. History does not repeat. It tightens. Chapter 4. The map always closes. You were taught that history is unpredictable, that nations rise and fall by accident, that power reacts. It doesn't. Power rehearses. Every empire that survived understood one rule. Geography decides ideology, not the other way around. Whoever controls the cold corridors of the north controls the future of movement, trade, surveillance, and denial. Greenland is not valuable because of what it has today. It is valuable because of what will pass through it tomorrow. Arctic routes are opening. Satellites need ground anchors. Submarine cables need guardians. Missile trajectories need blind spots. Energy reserves need legal excuses. The map is closing inward, and Greenland sits at the hinge. History proves this pattern relentlessly. Britain built an empire on ports. America built one on bases. Rome built one on roads. Control always follows infrastructure, never speeches. You live inside a world where borders look solid on screens but are negotiated quietly in contracts. Greenland's status is not debated publicly because outcomes are already priced privately. Every time you see a treaty framed as cooperation, it is a purchase disguised as courtesy. Every time you hear strategic partnership, it means someone surrendered options. You believe nations fight wars for ideology. They don't. They fight for positioning before the war becomes necessary. And here's the part that should unsettle you. The same logic that governs Greenland governs you. Your data routes, your financial dependencies, your social platforms, your economic mobility. You are already positioned inside systems you did not choose. You are already governed by decisions made before you noticed. The illusion of freedom exists only where exit routes remain open. Greenland is losing its exits. So are most people. The difference is Greenland will become powerful because of it. Most people will become invisible. This is not about conquest. It is about pre-ownership. And once pre-ownership is established, resistance becomes theater. History does not repeat. It tightens. Chapter 6. The old self must be executed. You were taught to believe your identity was permanent. It was never permanent, it was provisional. Your beliefs, loyalties, outrage, and moral posture were scaffolding, not architecture. They were training wheels for a world that does not protect the upright. The moment you understand Greenland, you understand yourself. You are not a citizen, you are a variable. You are not a participant, you are a resource unless you refuse the role. The old version of you believed systems could be reasoned with. That loyalty earned safety. That truth changed outcomes. That version must die, not violently, silently. You remove it the way empires remove currencies, without ceremony. You stop identifying as good. You stop identifying as fair. You stop identifying as honest in environments that monetize honesty. You replace identity with position. You no longer ask who you are. You ask where you stand. You no longer ask what is right. You ask what is irreversible. You no longer seek validation, you measure consequences. This is not cruelty, it is sovereignty. The man who survives modern power does not glow, he does not signal, he does not perform virtue, he becomes difficult to classify, he speaks less, commits later, moves when others debate. Greenland will not belong to the most passionate nation, it will belong to the nation that outlasts attention, and you will not belong to the future unless you abandon the identity that required approval. This is the replacement, not a better man, a colder one, not a louder one, a quieter one, not a moral one, a deliberate one. You do not erase your humanity, you simply stop allowing it to be used against you. That is the final transformation before power becomes accessible. And once it happens, you no longer feel angry, you feel precise. Chapter 7. The line is drawn. You have now seen the border, not between nations, between types of men. Most will watch this story about Greenland and retreat into commentary. They will argue morality. They will debate legality. They will perform outrage like it is influence. They will remain harmless. You are offered a different option, not action, alignment. You are not asked to fight empires. You are asked to stop volunteering your mind to them. The final warning is simple. Power does not fear your anger. It only respects your discipline. Power does not silence those who shout. It isolates those who cannot be predicted. Power does not crush rebels. It absorbs performers. The few who matter learn to disappear inside the system without becoming part of it. They speak only when outcomes are already decided. They move only when the terrain is prepared. They observe while others posture. This is the line. On one side are those who want to be right. On the other are those who want to remain unowned. You cannot be both. Greenland is not about ice. It is about proximity to future leverage. And this channel is not about knowledge. It is about selection. Most will leave after this chapter, feeling unsettled, calling it cynical, dark, or extreme. They were never the audience. The few who remain will understand something unspoken. You are not here to feel informed. You are here to stop being predictable. No slogans, no flags, no emotional loyalty, only position, only timing, only restraint. You do not need a cause, you need clarity, and now you have it. If you are still here, you already know what that means. You were never meant to belong to the crowd.